I come from a family that we all believed in God. We just didn't talk much about God. And it was more just the way that I was raised and the way we lived. And I'd never seeked out God. I just always knew He was there and just never questioned it. I had a friend of mine that he'd asked me, well, didn't you ever ask God for help to get you through something? And he was shocked that when I told him no, I didn't. I just never did to ask God for help. And then whenever I started seeking God and I found Him, I realized there was a lot I missed. I think coming from the background that I came from, it was hard to ask for help. To this day, it's still even hard when somebody feels that they need to bless me with something. It's still, sometimes I don't know how to accept it. And I have to take a step back and realize, that when somebody's blessed me, sometimes it's a blessing for them too. I know now that's the relationship He wants. He wants us to seek Him and ask for anything that your heart desires. And if it aligns with what He's got going on, then it's going to happen. We all have dreams, and dreaming of owning a brand new home, not just an older home and you're buying it, but something that's brand new. It'd always been one of my dreams, but it was always one of those, it's just a little bit too far to reach for. And whenever I started trusting God, God made it happen without it. I didn't even have to work for it. It was just like the guy that was selling David was his name. He was sitting in his office waiting on me to get there. My name is Osa Mcdowell. My first name is spelled O-S-A, and it's pronounced O-C. I was named after my grandfather, and he was named after a Cherokee chief, and that was the way they spelt it. I grew up in a middle-income family. For the last 32 years, I've made custom knives. My father was making knives, and I had gotten married, and I thought, well, I'll make a knife for my father-in-law. And that's where it all started. We had a real close family. I've got 2 brothers and 2 sisters. I was the youngest. My dad and Mom always, on weekends, we'd always go fishing, or we would go see our grandparents. Through the summer, that we was always going somewhere. We didn't stay at home much. My dad worked, he was a construction worker. He was a union, he was in a carpenter's union for over 50 years. And he made knives just as a relaxing hobby, something that he just loved to do. And I never gave it much thought. It was just, my dad made knives. I mean, I never thought I would get into it. The first knife I made, I had such a tremendous response on it. Everybody I showed it to just couldn't believe that was my first knife. And I told them I had a great teacher. And I was working with my dad for about 6 months, mainly just on the weekends because he was working out of town and he'd come home but that 6 months, that was all I could think about. I quit hunting, I quit fishing. It wasn't, the only thing I wanted to do was go to my mom and dad's house and play with the knives. I enjoyed it as much as anything I had ever done. After about 6 months, I quit my job. I had a full-time job. I'd been running a sandblaster for 5.5 years. I moved about 70 miles from home back to 15 miles from where I was born at. And started making knives full-time. The big building, it was our convenience store. We had a convenience store, bait house, a deli, kind of a combination grocery store, more of just a small grocery store than a convenience store. We carried about every kind of canned goods, stuff that people would need camping, all kinds of camping supplies, from tents to Coleman lanterns, stoves, just a wide variety of everything. Before they had the reservation, the lake would be full most of the weekends. And when on a busy weekend, a holiday weekend, they would be so full that there's no campsites available. There'd be people parked along the dam, just anywhere they could park, and just out enjoying the lake itself. However, we got 4 Great Pyrenees, our male, he's full-blood Pyrenees. His name's Freddie. Then we've got Sadie. She was the first Great Pyrenees I got, and she's a crossbreed between a Great Pyrenees and a Burmese mountain dog. And whenever I got her, she was everything I had ever dreamed of. They're some of the most loving dogs you've ever been around. But I believe that the hardest people to reach are people like me that was raised in an environment that wasn't bad. I mean, thinking back, I wished everybody could have the same childhood I had. My mom and dad, they had a rule that they abided by, and that was they would never go to bed angry at each other. They would never let anything carry on to the next day. It's like they start a new day every day. I just took it for granted that everybody had a great childhood. I never felt the need to ask any special favors of God. It wasn't, I guess because I'd always felt like he provided. All things possible with God.